significant part of your life.
I know.
Huge influence.
You're huge, ain't even the name. I mean,
wow.
He's a big influence on Michael too, you know?
Yeah. The whole family.
Okay. So I'm good to hit live, do you think? Okay. Well, what happened to it? I know. Okay, it must have got tired of waiting on me. Because, yep, that's what it was. It got tired of waiting on me. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
Yay.
Well, this is a real test today. My name is Sheila Corona. If you're watching us live on Corona Rising, welcome. I am with Crystal Hemphill from Journey Into It and Lisa Rush from Rush Solutions. And this is Do It Yourself Ascension. We haven't done one of these in a while. So, and I really like the idea that we're live on both my channel and your channel. Can you see the comments on your channel as well? Like, you know, should any question? My tablet is doing some weird stuff here. Let's see. I'm trying to get my channel up so I can make sure. There we go. All right. Well, we're just going to do like Lily Lightbridge. Greetings from the Sunshine State, Florida. All right. Awesome. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
To Florida.
Yeah. I grew up in Florida. So thank you for tuning in. You sound new. So I hope you'll find us interesting and choose to subscribe. We're broadcasting live, Lily, also on Journey Into It's page, and you can find her page directly at the bottom of my channel. If you go to explore, it's one of the featured channels there. And well, you know, the three of us haven't had a conscious conversation in a while, not recorded anyway. And there's been you know, I always say that there's so much going on, but there really, it feels like, I don't know, I feel like Emerald Lagasse on steroids when I say, boom, it's been kicked up a notch. You know what I mean? Because that's just the way it feels to me. Lori Wheeler's in the house as well. Oh, you're in St. Petersburg. Awesome. I grew up Vero Beach area and Vero Beach, Sebastian area. So welcome. So, but I also, you know, I've been doing my live. So a lot of folks know that I've had a lot of, I'm being shown very clearly right now in places where I'm still triggered about things. Oh, thank you for letting me know that, Lily. Lily Lightbridge found my channel through Laura Walker. I know, I'm telling you, I'm such a fangirl of Laura Walker. I do that fangirl gush every time I hear her name. I'm sorry. Well, because she's the one I give the most credit to for, I didn't understand anything about energy until I found the Oracle report. So, you know, and it took a little while, but it's like it was meant to be because of the journey I now have walked and can see very clearly. But anyway, this week in particular for me, you know, the two of you and I are also in a book club. And so I've shared a little bit about this, but I've been being shown very clearly, if I can stay present in the moments when I find myself triggered in some sort of way with what I've learned to categorize as a visceral reaction to something. I mean, some people watch me speak on things and they think what they're seeing is a visceral reaction. No, for me, there's a difference between being passionate about a subject and having a visceral reaction. And I personally know the difference, but a lot of other folks don't. But at any rate, I've watched myself this week become very observant. Well, actually, it's been more like 2 to 3 weeks as it's coming in. And I'm being shown very clearly that when I or really anyone else is being triggered, it's because there's a being presented with a situation, doesn't matter what it is, that one has experienced and been traumatized in some fashion by. And it may not be at all the same kind of experience. It may not be, but there's something about it that has triggered this response. And what I started noticing about for myself is that if I can see that, oh, hold up, I am reacting to what I've now determined is a traumatic state of consciousness, one that there was trauma involved in somewhere in that is relating, that somehow my experiential filter is relating those two incidences, whatever this is that's presented itself, and something and it doesn't matter. It could be somewhere in my 60 years past, or it could be something that's, I referred to as past lives, right? Which I feel are concurrent, but so anyway, that's something I've noticed a lot. And to be, for me, front and center present to. And the other thing, I actually talked about this yesterday in my live because I think they're tied together. If I can stay present and work through that and see that trauma state of consciousness, thank it, work through it, release it, that's the Holy Grail, right? Getting all the way in here, dropping that baggage, because I feel too, that's why that stuff has been coming. But I noticed that terminology was being used quite a bit in the last week or two, really ever since Easter, right? I've heard several people talk about the Holy Grail of this or the Holy Grail of that, and then yesterday, I don't buy this is no, for whatever the reason, Cosmopolitan has gifted me for years now their propaganda.
Well,
and look
isn't that precious?
I know, right? Look what it says right there.
Oh, generous.
The Holy Grail issue. I'm sorry, when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, that is definitely an energetic.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, too, okay, so for me, when I realized that's what I was seeing, we just had Easter, right? And well, what is the Holy Grail all about? I mean, okay, there's all kinds of different tales about the Holy Grail. But if you ask me, which of course nobody actually did, but okay, so what? I'm going to tell you anyway. I feel like it has always been the search for self. Now that's, the Christ within, the Christ consciousness. That's kind of what I've always viewed it to be. I mean, I know through the Arthurian legends and all of that it's, you know, they try to make it out to be like it's something else. But I think it's always been metaphor for the search for self, for the search for the God within, the Christ within, because that's really what I feel like I've been doing. Like I said, I'm putting this scavenger hunt out here to find myself, right? I don't know. Anyway, what are you guys noticing and feeling this week, or, you know, since we talked last?
Okay. Let's see. Well, I don't know. So much has happened like in the last, I don't know, 24 hours. I can hardly keep up with myself. I keep feeling like I'm running to catch up to me. I don't know. It seems like time is moving very, very fast, very, very quickly. But I have to agree with you. I'm having a lot of stuff come up for myself, just come up. And I'm just looking at it with love. I'm trying to face and embrace everything that is showing itself to me right now, because I want to do that clearing of my space so that, you know, more of me and the aspects of me that want to join in this moment of now, because I've been kind of feeling this wave of parts and pieces of me buoying to the surface. So not all of it's been beautiful to look at. Like I said, I've seen lots of triggery things coming up from the depths. But as a Scorpio, this is not new to me, but I can say it's more intense than usual for sure. So I've been using my superpower of love and facing and embracing all of it. Because even the challenging things that are coming up from the depths are revealing so many gifts to me that are, you know, it's like alchemy, like I'm turning my weaknesses into my strengths by acknowledging them. And instead of them running me, you know, in the background, unawares, I'm running the show now. More and more of me is showing up. More and more of me that I face and embrace is switching from my weakness into my strengths. So even though I'm still seeing lots of stuff I don't really want to see within me, it's okay. I mean, I'm excited for it now. Now it feels like, you know, progress, because I'm moving through it fast and furious, you know, and it seems like I get just okay with something and the next thing is here. And I'm learning to celebrate that, because it just means like, you know, I'm doing this now. And the more that I face and embrace, the easier it becomes to face and embrace. I simply know that within every challenge lies the solution. So if I'm not willing to turn around and then face it and embrace it, meaning look at it from every angle and really understand why it's here and what it is. And it really just takes the courage to look at it for what it is. It tells the whole story. But if you're brave enough to look at it, the whole story contains the solution, the how you got here and how you can leave here if you want to. So, you know, to me, I'm finding it encouraging that I have lots of gunk coming up to look at, because it's making way for clarity. And the more gunk that I look at and face and then release myself from, the clearer my life is becoming and the happier my day and the more action packed. And most of this action now is fun. So that's worth it.
Before we move away from you and go to Crystal, never mind. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Crystal, please, if you're ready, but I'm going to be coming back to you, Lisa, because I know you got something for me. I mean, because that's something we just did today. So Crystal, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What have you, because I'm telling you, you have been in the zone over there.
I am so excited to hear all about this. right?
Actually, same. I see it completely differently since I worked
There
with
are
you.
no bad triggers.
Yeah, no, exactly. Since I went through Crystal's 32 UD program, I'm sorry, but I see triggers in a whole different way now. They are a good thing. You're absolutely right. Not only are they are a required, necessary thing if your goal is growth, and you ignore them and run away from them at your peril, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Well, honestly, Crystal, when I feel into what's going on in your world right now, I feel, I don't know if you had a chance to hear the recording I did of Laura Walker in particular. I can't believe there's all these folks here from Laura Walker's page, but I did her oracle report from Easter. When I found that, I didn't even know we had any X flares, and I got home and there was an oracle report talking about it. But right around that time, she also, and I don't know if I recorded it, but I know I've been sharing it with everybody, that there was a time period, and I think we're in it right now, where she had stated that it was going to be double the energetics for creativity, for manifestation, for all of this. And if I'm not mistaken, I would have to go back and look or listen and find it again, but I could swear that we are smack dab in the middle of the 4 times, the quadrupled energy. And if we're not, we're just on the tail end of it. Now, I want to say to everyone, I know that Laura put out a audio yesterday. So go to oraclereport.com and hear the newest audio. And she did release an oracle report today, and I haven't had a chance to see it. But every time I've thought about you and what you've been doing, Crystal, and just so everybody knows, Crystal's been whipping out these gorgeous designs, one of which she's wearing right now, your light language and the artwork and the sound recordings, the activations and the healings that you're doing, which, dun, 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 we're going to do a little bit of that before we leave today. But every time I check in with you, well, first of all, I've been leaving you alone. I know you've noticed that, because every time I telepathically check in with you, you're busy.
On fire.
Yes.
That girl is on fire.
That's right. Lisa was singing that about you today earlier.
It on loop. See,
I bet that's where Lisa picked it up.
It's an energetic. That's it.
Wow, that right out of the mouth of babes, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, we have Selichi, I think is how that's pronounced, has joined us. L&D Pegram, who said, yep, Laura is the best. Thank you so much for being here. Jennifer Brown has joined us. I'm so glad. Yay. And L&D Pegram said, oh, ladies, you are so spot on. I feel like I'm in Crazy Town. And Stacy Watchell has joined us as well. Yay! Well, about the Crazy Town, I've kind of wondered a little bit about that. I shared in one of my lives that I got to see an interview with Mike Adams and David Wilcock. And David Wilcock was speaking about how he was experiencing other aspects of himself actually coming into his physicality and moving things around. And I also know of other people who are experiencing this. some people now, like myself, I was thinking that what I was experiencing was a timeline collapse. Well, I mean, it could be that too. But, silly stuff like stuff goes missing. Okay, yeah, I'm 60. I might have put it down and forgot where it is, except that, when it's a blouse and the last place it was hanging in your closet. No, and the next thing you find it in the closet where you knew it was, but you've touched every piece in that closet. You see where I'm going with that? So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on that folks are just like, and I think it's going to get even crazier yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because that same person that was sharing that with us also shared about when one of her aspects came in, she could very clearly feel this aspect breathing in her body, and it wasn't her. So I think we're going to have a lot of stuff that we aren't expecting. And I just don't know what we could expect.
It's like we are all walking into ourselves, all the aspects of us that are, I feel like required for this moment, because really we're all that is, right? But we've each been, called. We have a specific skill set that's needed, required for this moment. And so those aspects learned those skills as different embodiments in different times. Mm-hmm. And we're like calling on all parts of ourselves. We're calling together the best of ourselves as we forgive and release the worst of ourselves, right? And let it go so that we can just fully embody the best of who we are. And so, I feel like as I look at each and every one, I can see their aspects joining them. They begin to look different to me. It's not just, how you can see an energetic glow about a person, but there's even something beyond that now that I'm starting to develop, where I can see almost beyond that to an energetic template that's just developing, if you will. And it's there and it's not there at the same time. And if you work too hard at seeing it, it wants to disappear. You kind of have to have a real wide, relaxed aperture. And then it's just right there. You can kind of see the entirety of it. But again, it's a bit elusive. And I feel like that is our energetic template. It is what we are evolving into, coming online now. And as we step into it and embody it, we're going to be completely changed, even in our appearance. I mean, I can see it already. I can definitely see it in the two of you. Oh my goodness. It's like you're almost unrecognizable to me. And it's like I haven't seen Crystal for a moment. And so when I saw her, I just wanted to say, wow, I feel like this is a totally different embodiment than the last time I saw you. You know what I mean? We're evolving and changing and shifting so quickly now that it's almost like we're instantly changing. And of course, it's not quite that instant, but we're getting closer and closer to it.
Well, see, I'd like to go back to what I was alluding to earlier, because it actually, I feel like it ties in right here, Lisa.
Yes.
You were helping me earlier with something, right? And I feel like I got it, but I don't know if I can quite communicate it in the proper way that I'd like to just yet. But this was in regards to what we put out comes back. And I know everybody's got that word karma going on. And that's like, I'm sorry, but that's like screwed me all kinds of ways up with the idea. And that's not what we're talking about here.
Right.
I shared with you this morning that I noticed because I've been practicing remaining present. And I know everybody says, oh, well, yeah, because that's what we need to do. But how often are you actually, because I'm telling you, this is a toughie for me. All right. Because all I wanted to do was take a shower and be present with the water and the shower and nothing else. And I noticed, and I decided I wasn't going to get mad at myself. I was just going to observe. I couldn't go a whole 2 minutes without, now I got to figure out if I'm almost out of this shampoo. I got to do, and over here and over there. I don't even think I got
the water.
Right. I don't even think I got a full 3 minutes in, and I just was noticing that.
Girly. Yeah.
Right. So in that vein, and while we were chatting about that, I don't know how we got around to it, but there was something about that. What we're putting out comes back, and it's really immediate now. I mean, like,
okay, so it used to take so long that we couldn't see it, but now it's shortening and shortening and shortening. So it's getting closer and closer to instant manifestation. And what it is our frequency. So that's a combination of not only our words, because words are toning and yes, frequency, but also our thoughts. So especially the ones that you entertain. So I'm saying a thought that you hold longer than 17 seconds, something that you concentrate or focus on, now has creative juju as well as what you do. And so this is maybe the word reciprocity keeps wanting to come into the conversation. Maybe that's a good way to phrase it, but as you give, you receive. So what you emanate, and that's what you're thinking, what you're saying, and then your behavior, what you're doing, is your giving. That's your gift. That is what you give. And it is also what you receive, because your gift, you came here as a creator being to gift this reality. It is nothing but blankness. It is you creating what comes back to you. So as you emote, your thinking, your words, and your doing come together and leave you to gather speed, to gain momentum, to increase, and then return to you for the receiving portion. It is your exhalation, and then your inhalation is the returning of it, but coming out into the world and gathering momentum and speed and even more of the same and bringing it inward.
Well, and immediately my toroidal field, the yin yang symbol, all of these things come into my mind. And as soon as I mean, it was like, I really saw that for the first time in a very meaningful way today.
Which calls to mind the importance of mindfulness, being aware of the state you are in before you do say it, all the time, because it's creative. And so if you aren't consciously controlling it, who is? Are we running the programs that were programmed onto our hard drive or your subconscious by someone else? And that's the icky stuff I'm talking about that's coming up, because I'm making the declaration every day now with my consciousness. I am. And my environment is saying, am I? And I have to look past my environment and say, I am. and really own it, because then I am returns to me. And it's no longer a question, it's a knowing, it's an experience.
I actually saw that in a different way now, just this damn second. Of course, as long as I'm out there looking for me, I'll never find me.
Because you are looking and creating the looking for self, never the finding.
Well, I've been
You
really,
have to look at the echo, yeah, and know it is an echo and understand what an echo is. And if you don't like the echo, change it, because it came from you. It has no life of its own. You are the life.
wow. Do you have any questions coming up on your channel there, Crystal? No? Okay. No, I agree with you, because the minute you said that, I see, because I have said this before, I see the center of my toroidal field, which resides between the chambers of my heart, as a black hole. And all of the aspects that I have decided that together we've decided are going to enter into this physical vessel and move forward in this new game board that we are now creating. That's what I feel it to be doing. It's that collapsing into. That's another reason the big energetic is all about reset, revalue, second renaissance is what Laura uses, right? It's all
taking the elements of all the old that's breaking down into its elements and compressing it into the seed of the next
game.
Yeah.
Right, life, exactly.
The next creation that we're breathing life into.
Right.
And we're doing it while we're alive, because this is a process normally we would release our physical bodies and participate in. So this is kind of new and exciting, to die and rebirth in our shoes.
Listen, as a 60-year-old, yeah, you're right. As a 60-year-old who not that long ago had one foot in the grave, I kid you not. I know that most of the early videos that used to live on Conscious Conversation Central are not there now, but they do still, some of them do still reside on some of those channels that I've talked about that are featured below on my channel. You can go back to 2017, 2018, 2019 and see those older videos. I can tell you that I know that's what we're doing here. I know, because I am no longer one foot in that grave. Part of it has to do with coming to consciousness and knowing what's going on here and flowing with it. There was something else that I've also noticed that I wanted to share in terms of what we put out, and that's everything, by the way. All doesn't matter whether you're conscious of what you're putting out or not.
Right. Yeah, doesn't matter.
But what I have also
your consciousness,
right, what I've also noticed is of course I've been paying very close attention to my own languaging, but I've also been paying attention to the languaging of others. Because everybody knows how I feel about languaging. Yeah, everybody speaks their own language. Sorry, I know everybody here probably speaks at least a little English, but it is your version of English, and it will always only be your version. You can hope that someone groks or understands or hopefully a little bit comprehends what you're trying to share. But that's been the biggest help for me, is knowing that the definitions of words are different for each being, because based on all of their lifetime experiences of those words, the situations around those words, everything that had to do with those words. Again, part of that traumatic state of consciousness thing that I talked about before. Because it doesn't matter what you're saying. Sometimes you can say something and somebody, I didn't mean that. That is not at all what I meant. But because they've experienced those particular words in a particular fashion, they mean something completely different to them. And just having that information here changed a lot for me. But also just paying attention to the languaging that others are using. You said, Lisa, the solution presents itself within the problem.
Yes.
When folks are presenting a problem, they're not listening to their own languaging at all, because they might see some of the solution in it.
Yeah.
If they paid attention to their own languaging.
You have to be willing also just to sit with it and look at it, just to sit calmly with it and look at it. And that's harder than it sounds, tougher than it looks for some reason, because it took me a very long time to be willing to do that. But every time that I am, the gift is always right there. And I think to myself, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, I let this loom over me and chase me around and make me feel weak and tortured for no reason, none at all, because it was just my own mind making up how horrible it was. The actual event, whatever it was, which I wouldn't and could only discover until I looked at it and just sat with it for a second, did I see it wasn't anything I had churned it up inside to be. That was a false narrative. And it was an illusion conjured up by a mind that cannot know. It can only question. That's what the mind was designed to do. It's to analyze things. The heart knows. That's what it's designed to do. So trust your heart and use the mind to serve the heart's agenda. That we've been letting the tail wag the dog here for too long. And that's, we all got the mind damage.
I know.
The mind run the show, and it's really the opposite. We got it inside out, upside down on that front.
Well, it brings to mind, and I think with your permission, I'm going to go ahead and record your essays again, because they don't live on this channel. And
Okay. Yeah,
and I'd
let's
like,
do that.
okay, especially the one about the mind virus, because
Yeah.
to me that's
Yeah,
important.
especially that I wrote about that before any kind of viruses at all. And now when I read it, it's like, wow, it's mind-boggling to me how much I was really foretelling to myself. If I had seen it then, even what
well, and as soon as
Wow.
I read it, I equated it to the archons.
Yes.
You know, I shared with you,
Absolutely.
Laura Walker, and the fact that after that fact, because I just feel like that's what you were tuning into, what your guidance was showing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like there's a lot of big energy right now, and there's, of course, we're right smack dab in the middle. Okay, of two eclipses. We're the lunar eclipse that just passed, or no, solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, and now the full lunar eclipse that will be on I think it's the 15th.
No wonder so much is coming up for release, right? We're all right on time if we're feeling any of that.
Exactly. Absolutely. I wonder if she's having trouble with her OBS there or something.
No.
But well, I know that there's like, especially right now, the last one, like I said, I didn't get to, and for those of you that are here from Laura's group, I didn't get a chance to listen to her audio as of yet, for what she has to say there. But I do recall that there's, with this Neptune Jupiter conjunction in Pisces and whatnot, there's in a tendency for things, she always talks about the higher and lower octaves of the energies, right? Yeah. And the lower octave of some of this energy that's still wanging, if you ask me,
it's wanging.
Can make folks delusional.
Mm-hmm.
And well, so that's a real thing.
And if you're doubling down, and we've got this quadrupling energy on board.
Yeah.
But if you're in the releasing mode, you've got, quadruple support.
Well, I think maybe that's kind of why when I grokked what you were saying today about, of course I know that we create all the time, whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously.
Yes.
I'm convinced that I'm creating my own reality, that you and I are together, and we're in our reality right now together by agreement. The very moment, well, like right now, Crystal is not in our reality. She's not, and it's by agreement. And as soon as she's ready to step back into our reality, well, she'll be here. But for all I know, she has ceased to exist. I'm sorry.
On some level, she sure has.
Right? I mean, on this level right here, I can see on the camera level, or, on the live thing, that she's not in any one of our realities at the moment. So I used to have that come in when I was a kid, man. Like, do they, what do those people over there in that house that look so happy and we're so miserable over here? Is that real? Is that actually real? I really, as a young kid, I wondered about that, and so this whole thing about the state that we are in, and how that we emanate that state at all times.
Yeah.
And that I really feel as though, especially when you and I had that conversation this morning about that specifically.
Yes.
I kind of saw why I want to move towards that which brings me joy and makes my heart sing in every moment, no matter what.
Yeah, that's
in a whole new light.
Important thing, right? It takes precedence now immediately when you understand that.
Yep.
Nothing else matters.
No, nothing. And
because I don't want to matter that other stuff, the unconscious stuff. It's not a fun ride. It just isn't. And it really doesn't matter what it is. It's just your state of being. So if it's frustration, so this is easy. Frustration magnifies and increases, begets more frustration. So boy, does that ever make a difference. Because you could be receiving the same thing you're going to receive anyway, but it is the energetic envelope or a package that it comes in for you, because you're going to experience the energetic that is leaving you on the receiving end after the magnification process.
Right. Well, for the first time ever, like I said, today, for whatever the reason, I've known that what you put out comes back, but I saw it in a wholly different light at this point. When we step out of the now moment, and whatever joy or bliss or creative flow that one is wishing to experience, and start, I don't know, worrying about stuff, you know, like you said, being frustrated about something, it all sort of goes sideways. It just all goes sideways.
The more to feel frustrated about, more frustration arrives. And the more you surrender to that frustration, you're just piling on and ordering up yet even more. And it doesn't change until you do. So that's why the mindful practice on my part is where my focus and attention, because look, my focus and attention is my currency. Because where my focus and attention goes, where my focus is, where my attention is where my energy is flowing. It is what I am increasing in that moment. So either I'm increasing the solution or I am increasing problem. And I have caught myself increasing problem after problem after problem. So I have changed the focus to solution, and suddenly not so many problems.
Well, I remember when I learned that about the frustration part, you know, the frequency with which you approach something is everything. And I knew that, right? You and I had, because I had that whole thing that summer where my laptop just was not hanging with me under any circumstances. And so I had that on board already, but I don't know why. Oh, really? Oh, thank you for letting me know that. Well, we learned something new. So thank you for that. I had no idea. I sent a message to Crystal and asked her if everything was okay. And she said it pops up on her screen. Well, I'm glad I didn't ask you something I didn't want everybody, that I was worried about everybody knowing. Well, that's good to know. Okay. So yeah, I feel like, of course, that's part and parcel of some of the veils that I know are thinning within me. That's part of it, but that's something that I thought I had a handle on. You know what I mean? I thought I understood that one pretty good, but apparently it was just only understanding and not grokking, because, you know, that's a whole other level, apparently. Okay. So be gentle with yourselves, folks, because you might not get the whole concept all at once.
No, yeah, it takes a minute. You got to be patient with yourself and kind. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, actually, it was more the what you put out, you get back. Because I thought, you know, like I said, I thought I had that, but I saw it, I think, a new layer or a new perspective, or just a wider aperture opened up about it specifically.
Yeah. Okay.
And it is in some ways tied to just what you asked me, Crystal, about the being present and being in the now, because the moment that's the only minute that actually exists. That's the only moment that actually exists anyway. If I'm thinking about yesterday that's already gone, or tomorrow that isn't here, that's taking me out of this present moment. And I'm convinced that that is part and parcel, the whole thing we designed all of this to do, to hone our abilities and whatnot, right? Not just because, well, we mastered swallowing and breathing and blood pumping without paying attention. Now what else, right? Well, apparently we mastered being able to create without even actually realizing that we were doing it. That's just how I think it actually is. And so, you know, the more.
Wow, we're good.
No, I know, right?
No, when I think back to how convinced I was this tiny, inconsequential, nothing burger, to now knowing, no, I create realities. It's huge. But and it's a huge, huge, huge leap that I didn't just leap in a single bound, right? I think I had to crawl all the way past the cavern and up the side to get over there. But so I appreciate it very much now. Because the journey was the whole thing, man. Really, it's the juju. I learned so much. I don't regret any of it.
No, me
Not
either.
even the hard stuff. You know,
Not now.
that's when I really knew I was alive, you know? I was living.
Well, I wanted to bring in the questioning part because Crystal, I in the last little bit here, I've made even more connections for myself in that because those that have been following me for a while know that the reason that cue is still on my wall is because whether that information is right or wrong, misinformation, disinformation, wrong information, I don't really care. To me, it's metaphor. It has all, it's well, and it is that, and it is also metaphor. And what I've noticed, and you and Lisa actually have been big help for me in this, especially you with the D program, the 32U D program that you have. The act of asking a question will interrupt a program. Well, I didn't realize that. And even though that's why I decided to leave that up there, because I began to see where a whole crap ton of people that used to call folks conspiracy theorists all of a sudden was asking some questions. And that is because some questions were being asked and people were going, oh, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, what? What now? Because if you ask a question rather than spout a fact, that interrupts the program because now that person has to listen to the question and do a little something in their head. It sort of interrupts. I've seen it. It'll interrupt a program. And so I love that is exactly what the 32U D program is. And like I said, I started noticing that with, the Q stuff, because that's all he did really was ask a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
And say, well, how about this? And, that sort of thing. So
how beautiful is that? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
I love that. Great way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you shall receive.
Yep. Well, that's why I say the most if somebody was to ever ask me, which nobody ever has, but if anybody was to ever ask me, Sheila, what do you think the most important thing is? I would say just be open to hearing everything that comes, and don't judge it. Don't prejudge anything. And we've got 10 folks watching right now, and a lot of you are new to me. So let me just say this. If you get the chance on Amazon Prime, if you have it, it's free. It's What the Bleep Do We Know, the extended version. And in this, I mean, I'd seen it a while back, but I saw it now again recently with my more, yes, with my new eyes, my more expanded aperture. And when it got to the point about quantum positioning, I realized that if I make a judgment about anything that I am being presented with, that is choosing a position. And now I might experience both the higher octave and the lower octave of said position.
Oh, you will experience.
Thank you. Well, here's the other thing.
Yep.
What I now come to see as, right and wrong, morality, all of that as opinion. That is all it is. I don't care. Everybody can get all up in arms that we want to, but in the most expansive view. So it depends on where you are in your growth, in your implosion, because that's kind of what we're doing here. We're imploding into the physical vessel. So it kind of depends on where you are. If you are still coming from a victim state of consciousness, then yeah, you're not going to hear this and get it probably. But if you are not currently occupying a victim state of consciousness, this makes sense to me anyway, because what's moral to one person is immoral to another. What's okay for one person is wrong for another. And that's across the board. Doesn't matter what it is. It's all a bunch of societal, I must just say BS, because that's the way it feels. I'll be honest. It's a whole bunch of rules and regulations that don't make no sense to most people. And if, like I said, right along the lines of everything else, in the scheme of all potentialities, I don't know what all is available, actually. And since I've decided I'm going to keep my stuff like that just plenty open. So that's why I went there, to say that by just hearing things, feeling into it for a while, because I caught myself, again, coming from a victim consciousness or a trauma state of consciousness when viewing things and assigning, oh, that's wrong, or oh, that's good, or oh, that's bad, or oh my God, that's evil over there, and that kind of thing. And again, that I don't know, I guess I kind of see that now in a whole different light.
Yeah. Well, to go back to your superposition metaphor, all possibilities are present and accounted for at all times. So if that's the case, then it's just up to me to choose the one that I prefer, right? And go with the one that feels the best to me, because I'm not really punished for choosing any position on the board. I'm punished by the position on the board, if you will. Meaning if there's any punishment going on, it could just be the ride that you have, becoming subject to the script, if you want to say, in terms of it being a role with a script, or going back to the basketball, a position, that ball can only be there. And so it's got certain physical boundaries that can only happen with that position of, designation. So it really is up to us to designate what's right for us, and then go right to that and be there. And then the rest doesn't matter, because really, in essence, for us, once you've chosen a position, the other positions disappear from view. You don't live them all out simultaneously. That's why you focus, to have the singular experience. So knowing that, I'm free now to choose the singular experience of my choice, of my choosing. And so, yes, there's victim, victimizer roles or scripts or positions on the game board. I just don't choose them, because to me, that would be a punishment to either be a victim or a victimizer, because the victimizer is requires a victim. So they're tied together inextricably. And you can't have one without the other. So I don't choose that, but I don't judge it to be not valuable or it should not be, because it just is.
Well, no, you're right, because here's the thing. All right. And this is exactly why I want to go through this in this particular way. All
Okay.
right. In my past, I was a victim and I had a great victimizer. Okay. And I went from one victimizer to the next. I went from the frying pan to the fire. I was so looking for a victimizer, apparently. But I will say that even now, I wouldn't change a thing. And I certainly wouldn't want either one of those two men to be punished for what they did to me, because what happened to me actually made me who I am right now. And without that, I wouldn't be who I am right now. And so to classify, yes, on one level, it was heinous and it was evil. And, because rape and torture and tying up your wife and all that kind of stuff, and when she don't want to be tied up, it is awful, right? Nobody wants that. But now on this side of it, I don't want them punished, because that is something that I know it's hard for folks that are still in that to grok this. But had I not if any of that had changed, I don't know that I would be the person I am right now. And I treasure the person that I have become, the being before you right now. I wouldn't change any of that. And I sure as shit don't want those folks punished for helping to hone and forge me. You see where I'm saying why I say that? Because on the grandest scale of everything, I have had too many puzzle pieces that have come into my life to show me that each one of us chose to be here, chose the parents that we were born to. I've had too many people tell me stuff that seems to signify that specifically. And because listen, I was one of those people that said, oh, I would have never chose this crap life.
And yes, you would, because that's where the value is. And you came here knowing you were going to experience them. And so on the outside of it, when you experience it to the point that you understand why it happened, it grows you, it changes you. And it is that change, that growing that happens to your soul, is the whole reason for a physical experience in the first place. So to pretend that coming into the physical, that it is wrong to experience anything other than well, what we are on the other side of the physical is silly. Because we would just still be over there if it was the everything. It was a desire that was born from within us to experience. And that desire is strong and it continues. And it's for learning and it's for growth. And the minute that you aren't growing or learning anything from it, then that's the time to stop doing that. And what's happening now is we've learned all we can learn here through unconscious behavior, which means it is now time to become conscious of our behavior. And that's what we're doing now. Source, the sun, the light is rising from within, from that black hole in the center of your heart, which is transforming all that is now, because we've actually learned everything there is to learn on this subject. And it is now time to learn another facet and to examine another piece of physical play. And this piece was given birth through this experience, the experience of physicality up until this date, have given birth to these fantastic rockets of desire. And by allowing the old to pass away, the old unconscious, forgetful game, if we put that down, we now can experience, there's now room for the new game to flourish, and we can't have two things occupying the same space. So the old now is in its death cycle, so that the new can re-phoenix or give birth from its ashes, or from, you know, the rich dark earth that looks dormant, and really it isn't. It's getting ready to give birth to new life, and that's why we feel we're in total darkness right now, because we are getting ready to breach the surface and reach for the light. That's what we're really doing here. And the more that I reach for the light, the more light I become, which is awesome. Everything okay?
I'm not sure. I'm just checking, make sure. I don't know if she's having, because you know that storm. I don't know. We're just, for those of you that have joined us, we're in North Carolina, and Crystal Journey into It is in South Carolina, and that storm that came through here, I don't know if it just went through, you know, so I'm not quite sure.
Might be there now.
Well, there she is. Oh. Oh, okay, sweetie. Mwah.
Love you so much.
I'm so sorry you had to go. Next time. Yes, let's please do. I'll tell everybody. Are you going to leave it locked? No, you can't do that on yours, can you? Yeah. Okay. I'm so sorry. Well, it's up to you, darling. It's up to you and your subscribers. Oh, thank you, sweetie. And hit me up later. Let's regroup. All right, awesome.
Bye.